Hello, it's Jen from Windrose Fiber Studio. Today, let's crochet a poppy flower. For our project today, I am using Basic Stitch by Lion Brand. I'm making my flower in pink and I'm making the center and the stamens in yellow. My crochet hook is 3.75 millimeters. I have a pair of scissors and a yarn needle handy. We're also going to be using just a regular old hair comb, and you'll need 2 stitch markers. Let's begin our poppy flower. Our pattern begins with a magic ring and then chain 1. If you prefer, you can simply chain 2, and then you'll be working round 1 into the second chain from your hook. Here I'm doing the chain 1 after making my magic ring, and we're ready to jump in to round 1. For round 1, we're going to work 6 single crochets into our ring, but mark the front loop of the first stitch. If you don't have stitch markers, a scrap piece of yarn will work just fine here. With the front loop of our very first single crochet marked, we're going to work 5 more single crochets into our ring, and then we'll close the ring. Before moving on, quickly double check and make sure you have 6 stitches in round 1. For round 2, we're going to be working in the back loops only. Work 2 single crochets in each stitch around. However, I am pausing after the very first stitch and marking the front loop of the first stitch once again. Now I'm going to go back into that same stitch and work another single crochet. At this point, I can continue round 2 by working 2 single crochets in each of the remaining stitches around. Round 2 will have a total of 12 stitches in all. Remember, we're working in the back loops only for this round. Rounds 1 and 2 create the base for our poppy flower. This is a good opportunity to double check your stitch count before we carry on. You have 6 unworked front loops from round 1 and a total of 12 stitches in round 2. We'll be attaching our flower petals to these rounds, beginning with the largest petals that'll be attached to the back loops of round 2. We have the front loop of the first stitch of both rounds 1 and 2 marked with a stitch marker. These will be our guideposts as we start to build our flower. Here we go. This is large petal number 1. We'll be working in the back loops only, and we'll begin in the very next stitch. Our repeating pattern for row 1 is to work a single crochet increase. This means to place 2 single crochets in the next stitch, and then a single crochet in the next stitch. You'll repeat this pattern 3 times and row 1 will be complete. Chain 1 and turn. Row 1 will have a total of 9 stitches, and you'll leave the remaining stitches of round 2 unworked for now. Here we are at row 2. Our repeating pattern is to work a single crochet increase. Remember, this means to place 2 single crochets in the next stitch, and then you're going to work a single crochet in the next stitch and another single crochet in the next stitch. I've written this in a fairly shorthand, so it's a single crochet increase, then 2 single crochets, single crochet increase, 2 single crochets. We'll work this repeat 3 times for row 2, and then you'll chain 1 and turn. Row 2 has a total of 12 stitches. For row 3, our repeating pattern is to work a single crochet increase and then 3 single crochets. Repeat this 3 times and then chain 1 and turn. Row 3 has a total of 15 stitches. Row 4 is quick and easy. Simply place 1 single crochet in each stitch across, then chain 1 and turn. Row 4 also has a total of 15 stitches. Here we are at the end of row 4, placing our last stitch, chain 1 and turn, and now we're ready for row 5. For row 5, our repeating pattern is to work a single crochet increase and then 2 single crochets. This time, we're going to be repeating our pattern a total of 5 times before we chain 1 and turn. Row 5 will have a total of 20 stitches. Here we are speeding our way through row 5. At the end of row 5, we've reached as wide as this petal is going to be, and now we're going to start shaping it inwards. So for row 6, we're going to start with a single crochet decrease. Insert your crochet hook in the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. Insert your crochet hook in the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Now, work a single crochet in each of the next 7 stitches. We'll follow this up with another single crochet decrease. And now we do 7 more single crochets. And this row is completed with a single crochet decrease over the last 2 stitches. Then you'll chain 1 and turn. Row 6 has a total of 17 stitches. Row 7 begins with a single crochet decrease. And now we're going to work 2 single crochets. Here's 1 and 2. And now we're working a single crochet increase, so 2 single crochets in this next stitch. And now we're going to work 7 single crochets. And then we'll work another single crochet increase, so 2 single crochets in this next stitch. And then single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. There will be 2 stitches left, and we're going to work a single crochet decrease over these last 2 stitches, then chain 1 and turn. Row 8 is another row of decreases and increases, so follow the directions carefully. It begins with a single crochet decrease, and then you're going to work 4 single crochets. And then you work a single crochet increase. And then you're going to work 3 single crochets. It's time for another single crochet increase. And now 4 more single crochets. We'll finish off this row with a single crochet decrease, then chain 1 and turn. Row 8 has a total of 17 stitches. Row 9 is the very last row of our large petal. It begins with a single crochet decrease, and then you're going to work 13 single crochets all the way across and complete the row with a single crochet decrease. Row 9 has a total of 15 stitches. At the end of row 9, we're going to finish off our work. You can go ahead and cut your working yarn. I'm just going to pull my hook and pull that yarn right through, and then I can thread that working yarn onto a yarn needle and weave that loose end on the back side of the petal. The side with the stitch markers will be the right side or the front of the petal, so the wrong side is the side without the stitch markers. You can leave your beginning tail because it's very useful for attaching your flower to a project. If you're not going to be attaching your flower, you can also weave in your beginning tail. You'll notice that when I weave in my loose ends, I always make 3 passes with my needle. I want to make sure that this yarn is very secure. Here we are with our first petal complete. It has a natural curve to it. If we compare it to a sample flower that I've already made, this is one of the large petals on the outside of the flower, like this one here on the right. And so now we're going to do the one on the left. Row 1 of large petal number 2 is worked in the back loops only. We're going to join with a single crochet in the very next stitch of round 2. Just insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Our repeating pattern is a single crochet increase, so work a second single crochet in that same stitch and then single crochet in the next stitch. Go back to the beginning of that repeat. We'll be working that repeat a total of 3 times and then chain 1 and turn. Row 1 has a total of 9 stitches. This large petal is made just like the first large petal that we made. So at this time, we're going to be repeating the pattern rows 2 through 9 from large petal number 1. At the end of this petal, you will not finish off your work. I have it all written out here for you for your convenience, but of course, you can also go back and rewatch large petal number 1 and follow along with the video. I have also linked a downloadable PDF in the description below. I created a Google Doc for this pattern because there are a lot of instructions, and I thought you might like to be able to just download the pattern, print it off even, and have it handy. Here I am finishing my second large petal, and now it's time to do our large petal edging. We're going to be working our way around both of our petals, and we'll begin by working 8 single crochets across the end rows down petal number 2. So on the side of petal number 2, you'll place 1 single crochet in the end of each row, working down the side of this petal. After I work those 8 single crochets down the end rows of petal number 2, I'm going to work 8 more single crochets, working my way across the end rows up petal number 1. And now we've reached row 9 of petal number 1. Working across this row, we're going to follow the repeating pattern. We're going to work a single crochet increase and then a single crochet. We'll repeat this 7 times, and then there'll be 1 stitch left, and you're going to work a single crochet in that last stitch of row 9. There will be a total of 23 stitches worked across row 9. By working these increases on row 9 and having all of these extra stitches, it really makes the petal moldable. You'll be able to shape this petal and make it look a little more realistic. But it's time to keep on going. Work 8 single crochets across the end rows down petal number 1, and then 8 more single crochets across the end rows going back up petal number 2. Remember, you can slow down the playback speed of this video if you want a closer look. Here we are approaching the top of petal number 2. This is row 9 of petal number 2, and we're going to work this in the same way we did row 9 of petal number 1. Repeat the following pattern: single crochet increase and then single crochet 7 times, and then there'll be 1 stitch left and work a single crochet increase in that last stitch. Now we can finish off this working yarn, so go ahead and trim your yarn, pull on your hook to pull that yarn through, thread your cut in through your yarn needle. I'm going to skip the next stitch and pass this yarn under both loops of the following stitch, and then using the sharp end of my needle, I'm going to go in between the front and back loops of the last stitch made, picking up this little piece of thread right behind and pull my yarn through. This is called an invisible finish off. I have a link in the description below for a full tutorial for how to finish off in this way. It creates the look of a stitch and it's a very seamless finish for our petal. Now you can weave in both loose ends of petal number 2, your beginning and ending tails, and we'll be ready to move on to our medium-sized petals. We have just completed the 2 large petals at the base of our flower. Pause the video, stretch your body, get a refreshing beverage, and then we're going to jump right in to our 2 medium-sized petals. For medium petal number 1, locate that stitch marker that's marking the front loop of the first stitch of round 2. Join with a single crochet in the 3rd stitch to the right of that marked stitch. It will be up a little bit higher than the marked stitch because of the spiral nature of these unworked front loops. So after you join with a single crochet, you're going to work a second single crochet in that same stitch and then single crochet in the next stitch. Now we start our repeating pattern, work a single crochet increase and then a single crochet 2 times, then chain 1 and turn. Row 1 will have a total of 9 stitches. You can see that my next stitch is going into that marked front loop of the very first stitch of round 2. Even though they're not perfectly lined up, row 1 of this medium-sized petal is worked across these 6 stitches, one after another. The first row of each petal definitely feels a little more awkward, but then once you get into row 2 and 3 and the successive rows, it gets much easier. I just finished row 1, so now I'm going to chain 1 and turn, and here are the instructions for finishing your medium petal. You can pause the video here and follow the instructions for rows 2 through 8. When you complete row 8, you will finish off and weave in your beginning and ending tails. Here's a look at those loose ends, but I'm going to weave them in off camera and jump right into medium petal number 2. For row 1 of this second medium petal, we're going to be working in the 6 remaining front loops from round number 2. So we're going to start where we finished off with our first medium petal and join with a single crochet into the very next front loop. After we complete this first single crochet, you're going to single crochet in the same stitch, and then you're going to single crochet in the next stitch. Now it's time for our repeat. We're going to work a single crochet increase and then a single crochet 2 times. Row 1 will have a total of 9 stitches, and then you'll chain 1 and turn. You can see how I'm kind of folding the petals back and making it a little bit easier for me to see these stitches and work into them. Like I said, row 1 is kind of the awkward row, and then it gets easier from here. Once again, here are the instructions to complete your medium petal. At the end of medium petal number 2, do not finish off your work. Because the wrong side of the work is facing at the end of row number 8, we're going to chain 1 and turn and then work our medium petal edging. We're beginning by working across row 8. Follow the repeating pattern, single crochet increase and then single crochet 7 times across. There'll be 1 stitch remaining. Work a single crochet increase in that last stitch, and now we're ready to work down the side of the petal. These medium-sized petals are edged in the same manner as the large petals. There's just 1 less row. Here are the directions for you to follow for edging your medium petals. Here's our poppy flower. It has 2 large petals and 2 medium petals, and now it's time to make 2 small petals. It will definitely help to fold the larger petals out of the way as we dive into our first small petal. We'll be working in the front loops of round 1, beginning with the first marked stitch. Join with a single crochet, then you can remove that stitch marker. And then we're going to work another single crochet in that same stitch. Now you'll work a single crochet increase 2 times. Here's our first increase, and now we have 1 more increase. And then we can chain 1 and turn. Row 1 has a total of 6 stitches. With row 1 taken care of, here are the instructions for rows 2 through 7 of the small petal. When you're done with this first small petal, finish off and weave in your beginning and ending tails. We have just 1 petal left, small petal number 2. We're going to be working in the front loops of round 1, and actually you're going to join with a single crochet in the next stitch after that small petal number 1. So it's just the next front loop over. You're going to join with a single crochet in that next stitch, and then single crochet in the same stitch. And now you're going to work a single crochet increase 2 times for a total of 6 stitches in row 1, and then you'll chain 1 and turn. You know what's coming. Here are the instructions to finish up small petal number 2. Complete this by working rows 2 through 7. When you complete row 7, do not finish off. We're also going to be edging these small petals. Here are the small petals completed, and here are the instructions for working your small petal edging. At last, our petals are complete. You can mold the edges to give them some personality, and now it's time to make the center of the flower and the stamens. With your chosen accent color, make a magic ring and then chain 1. It's also perfectly fine if you would like to chain 2 and work round 1 into the second chain from your hook. For round 1, work 6 single crochets into your ring and then close the ring. I'm going to go ahead and mark my first stitch. I find that this is always a helpful tool. Round 2, we're going to be working in the front loops only, and we're going to work a single crochet increase 6 times. This means to place 2 single crochets in each front loop, working all the way around, and you're going to have a total of 12 stitches. I will also note that the right side of your work is facing as you crochet. If we take a quick peek at the wrong side, you'll see that our 6 unworked back loops are on the wrong side of our piece, and we'll be using those for the stamens. Our repeating pattern for round 3 is to work a single crochet decrease 6 times. Round 3 will have a total of 6 stitches. At the end of round 3, we'll cut our working yarn, leaving a little extra length. I'm just using my crochet hook to pull the cut end of yarn through, and then I'm going to go ahead and thread it onto my yarn needle. Our next step is to weave this tail end of yarn through each stitch of round 3. There are 6 stitches in total. You can see I'm using the blunt end of my needle just so I don't accidentally go through the plies of the yarn. After I weave my yarn through each stitch, then I can gently pull on the yarn to close them, to bring them close together. And then I'm going to go ahead and direct my needle through the center of this piece and pull this tail in through to the wrong side of the center of the flower. Our center is complete, and now it's time to prepare for the stamens. We'll do so by cutting 12 6-inch lengths of yarn. Next, turn your poppy flower center over and pull 2 lengths through each of the unworked back loops from round 1. I'm just using my crochet hook, and you can see that I'm going from the outside of the ring in, using my hook to grab 2 lengths of yarn at once and pulling them through that back loop. Now you can do this one at a time if you prefer. I'll fold each length in half and secure it to that back loop with an overhand knot. An overhand knot does work best here. Another little trick, if you hold either end of the length of yarn and pull them apart, it'll force the knot down and make it really close to that back loop. I managed to make that first overhand knot look really awkward, so let me show you one more so you can see what I'm doing and see that it's really not that hard. My first 2 are done, and now I need to repeat this process 5 more times. Remember, each back loop will get 2 threads, and each thread will be individually tied onto that back loop. With that accomplished, the center of our flower is looking like a little spider, and it's time to give it a haircut. You're going to cut each strand so it measures approximately 1/2 inch or 1.25 centimeters. Try to avoid accidentally cutting the beginning and ending tails. Next, use the fine end of your comb to comb out the plies of yarn and make them look full and fluffy. I find that it works best to start from the ends of the threads and then work your way towards the center. I'll work my way around the wrong side of the center and then flip it over and make sure those threads on the front side are combed out as well. The fluffier, the better. Now it's time to attach our poppy flower center to our poppy flower petals. And you're going to use the beginning and ending tails of that poppy flower center. Thread each one through opposite spaces at the center of the petals. You can see that I'm using my crochet hook as a tool. I've pushed the hook from the wrong side to the right side of the petals through one side of the center, and I'm pulling the first tail in through. And now I'm going to pull the second tail through on the opposite side. We're working into those spaces created by round 1. Once the center is threaded onto the petals, make sure you're happy with your placement, and then turn your petals over and secure the center of the flower to the petals by tying those 2 loose ends with a square knot. A square knot is like a shoelace tie, right over left, and then go back left over right and pull. Let me tuck these tail ends away and then let's have a look at our completed poppy. I'm also going to bring this orange one in so that we can look at the two together. If we measure them, you can see that the orange poppy is measuring at about 5 inches or 12.75 centimeters, and the pink one is 4.5 inches or 11.5 centimeters. And that difference is really just due to my tension being a little different with each flower. You can use your loose ends to attach your flower to a project. I really like to turn the petals at a little bit of an angle. I guess that's all for today. Remember, in the description below, I've included a link so that you can download the entire pattern for free. Please hit like and subscribe. Next week, I'll be sharing the project for which I made this poppy flower, and I'd love for you to see it. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.